Good afternoon to everyone. This is Sonu Kumar Singh, STNC R.P.Modi International High School. Welcome you all in today's training session. But before starting this training session, I would like to thank our principal sir, Mr. Vikram Kumar Sinha, who gave me this opportunity and encouraged me for today's training session. The topic of today's session is the essential components of a lesson plan. As you all know, the educators, that lesson plan is a vital part of the curriculum. We must have a good lesson plan before entering our class. So without delaying too much, I would like to share my screen first of all. Lesson plan. As we all know, that teaching is not everybody's cup of tea. It needs a proper planning before dealing with our students. If we are not well planned, if we don't have a good strategy before entering the class, we will not be able to handle our students. We will not be able to teach our students in a proper manner. It is an order lesson plan. It is an order, structured and planned activity. Teaching should be planned. It should be structured and in an ordered way. During the teaching process, the teacher has to plan a lot of things. Some important things done by a teacher, I would like to share. The first one is annual curriculum planning, that we have to plan as soon as the session begins. In this type of planning, the teacher plans for completing the whole syllabus within the academic session. Now, as we know that from the next month, the new session is going to start. So we all teachers will have to plan for our annual curriculum. The second one is unit planning. In unit planning, the whole syllabus is divided into various units. Recently, we took the examination of term 2, and before that, unit 1, unit 2. So we have to divide the whole curriculum in various parts. So in unit planning, the whole syllabus is divided into various units. A draft of teaching these units to the students is planned in a proper manner. The third one is daily lesson planning. Daily lesson planning is the most important aspect of a teacher for doing his teaching work. The plans framed by the teacher to teach the different topics in the class every day are called daily lesson plan. I hope you all know about the annual curriculum plan, unit planning, and daily lesson planning. So before starting writing the lesson plan, a teacher should keep the following points in their mind. The first one, what is a lesson plan? Yeah, we must have a complete idea of a lesson plan. Planning for a lesson plan. The third one, what to consider when writing a lesson plan. The fourth one, key components for thinking. The next one, the steps for preparation of lesson plan. So these things or these points should be in our mind before writing a lesson plan. Now going to the next slide. Lesson plan. What is a lesson plan? We must know about this. The word lesson plan is combination of two words, lesson and plan. Thus, lesson plan means preparation and planning for the lesson. A lesson plan is written guide for teachers' plan in order to achieve the intended learning outcomes. Whatever we want from our students, whatever our desire, that can be achieved when we will have a good lesson plan. It provides a specific definition on learning objectives, equipment, instructional media, material requirements, and conduct of the lesson. So, a lesson plan is, we can say, it is an essential part of our curriculum, or it's a vital part when we enter our class. Now, we would look the various definitions of a lesson plan, which are given by various educationists. The first one is given by N.N. Bosing. Here I have included the first one of N.N. Bosing. Lesson plan is the description which explains what is to be accomplished in a lesson, how to and using which material and activities it would be accomplished. Okay. The second one, it is of Bhatia and Bhatia. Lesson plan tells us what the students have learned, in which direction they should be guided further, and what should be taught at the moment. The third one, this definition is of a lesson plan may be defined as a teaching outline of important points of a lesson arranged in order in which they are to be presented. It may include objectives, points to be asked, reference to materials, assignments, etc. Through these definitions, it is clear that a lesson plan is a proper planning of the topic that we are going to teach to our students. The lesson plan connects the previous class to the present, and it will lead a path for the future class, for the next class. Now, what is planning? It is both the most time-consuming and the most important work to do. Whenever we have to plan, we would have to think a lot. It's a time-consuming activity. It is the foundation of our interactions with the students. Planning are of two types. The first one is poor planning, and second one is good planning. I hope we all want a good planning before making our lesson plan. If we would not have a good planning, our lesson plan will fail, and ultimately we will not be able to accomplish the desire that we want. Poor planning results in the following ways. The first one, frustration for the teacher and the student. If you would have a poor planning, definitely we would not be able to teach our student in a well manner. Next one, aimless wandering. Suppose if our planning is not proper, what would we do in the class? We would just wander aimlessly. We would not be stick to our point or points that we want to teach. The next one, no connections to prior learnings. We would not be able to connect whatever we have taught our students in the last class or the previous classes. If we have a good planning, we will be able to connect the previous classes to the present class. Disorganization. The next one, lack of needed materials. Suppose if we want to teach our students who are in junior classes, and if we want to teach them about the vegetables, if we are planned enough, what would we do? We would bring some vegetables. We would show them the vegetables. Suppose we are teaching them about the vegetables like cauliflower. Okay, so we must have the cauliflower in front of them. If we show them the cauliflower, they would be able to recognize that vegetable. So if we are planned, we would bring the vegetable when we enter the class. And if we don't have the idea that what we are going to teach, we would not be able to bring that material. It means there will be lack of needed materials. Next one, a waste of time. Yeah, if we are not planned enough, we would waste our time, and we would waste the time of a student also. And next one, poor management. So when there is poor planning, there will be these consequences. The next slide, it is about the good planning. The good planning results in the following ways. If we are good planned before entering the class, it will keep the teachers and the students on track. Okay, achieve the objectives that we want to achieve. Next one, help teachers to avoid unpleasant surprise. If we are planned in a proper manner, there would not be a term called surprise when we would teach in the class. It provides the roadmap and visuals in a logical sequence. Encourage reflection, refinement, and improvement. Enhances a student's achievement. So our desire, our objectives, aims, this can only be accomplished when we have a good planning before entering the class. What to consider when preparing a lesson plan? What should be in our mind when we start to prepare a lesson plan? Know your students. We must have the knowledge of our students. As we know, there are various types of students in a particular class. Some students may be average, some students may be excellent, and some may be poor. So we must have the knowledge about our students. We should keep that point in our mind before writing down or preparing a lesson plan. Know the content. Yeah, we must have the idea of content also before writing a lesson plan. Know the instructional material. What type of props, what type of materials can we use in our class to enhance the teaching learning process in the class? The suitable materials will give them a concrete knowledge. If there is not a suitable material in the class, they will not be able to understand the concept in a good manner. So there must be knowledge of instruction material, key components for thinking. These things be in our mind. What do students to learn? It means what do you want to teach your students? What is your expectation from the students? What teaching and learning activities will I use? So which type of teaching and learning process or activities you are going to use in the class? How will I check the understanding? Okay. When we teach in the class, we must check the understanding of the students. Have they learned or not? Are you accomplished? Are you, what we can say, able to accomplish your desire or not? The steps for preparation of lesson plan. These are the steps for preparing a lesson plan. The first one, selection of the content area. We should be selective before writing down a lesson plan. Identification of key concept and connectors. Exploration and filtering of varied resources. So the resources that we would use, that should be varied and filtered also. We have to use apt resource in the class to teach our students. Design of teaching learning strategy. We should work on the strategy too. Preparation of the presentation, question, explanation, illustrations. Presentation is the core part of our lesson plan. So we must be complete focused while the preparation of presentation. So there would be some questions, explanation, illustrations. That all things should be in a proper manner. Design of the assessment or preparation of assessment. So whatever you taught in the class, then after there should be assessment too. Review and remediation. You have to review your lesson plan, your class. Then after, the steps to improve your performance should be checked also. So these are the steps for preparation of a lesson plan. So lesson plan and its essential components. First one is objectives. What is the objective, or what are the objectives of a lesson plan? Then after, sequencing, timing, differentiation, assessment, materials. These are the essential components of a lesson plan. We would go through one by one. The first one, objectives of lesson plan or lesson planning. The first one, to give a definite shape to the teaching work. Lesson plan gives a definite shape to our teaching work. To ensure continuity in teaching learning process. So lesson planning, it makes a continuity in teaching learning process. It saves our time and energy. So to save time and energy of the teacher as well as of the students. If our lesson is not properly planned, we would just wander in the class. We would not be able to manage our time and energy in a good manner or in a good direction. So it saves time as well as energy of the teacher and the students also. The provide, sorry, to provide a definite direction to the teacher regarding his topics. Okay, so it directs the teacher in a definite direction. It provides a proper direction to a teacher when he teaches or conducts his class. To limit the teaching work according to the specific unit, day and period. So time has its own significance in the class. So it limits the teaching work according to the specific unit, day and period. To develop self-confidence in the teacher. Yeah. If a teacher is well planned, he has a good lesson plan, there will be self-confidence in that teacher. If a teacher is not planned enough, there will be the missing of self-confidence in the teacher. So if a teacher wants self-confidence before entering the class, he should have a good lesson plan. To select appropriate teaching learning material. A teacher must take care of choosing appropriate teaching learning material, because your teaching learning material will give a good impact on the students. It will make their learning concrete. Sorry, I have written this point 2 times. To relate the theoretic knowledge of the students with their practical application. If we have a good lesson plan, we would be able to connect the theoretical knowledge of the student with their practical application. Sometimes students often ask a question, what is the purpose of this topic in our practical life? So we would have to answer them. We would have to show them that this theoretical knowledge can be used in this type in our practical life. So we must have a good lesson plan so that we can correlate the students' theoretical knowledge to their practical application. To ensure pupil participation in the teaching learning process. So it ensures a good lesson plan. It ensures pupil participation in the teaching learning process. The last one or the next one is to frame assignments, homework for the students. So what type of homework we want to assign or give them, that would be clear if we would have a good lesson plan. So as per their mental ability, we would be able to assign them homework. So these are the objectives of lesson planning. There are various objectives, but I have included some of them here. Sequencing. What is sequencing? What is it? It describes what will happen during the lesson, the order in which it happens, and how you will transition between activities and to the next lesson. It is called sequencing. Things to consider. When is the best time to do an activity? We have to take care while using any activity in the class. We have to use our activity as per the required time. what is a logical but meaningful way to organize the lesson. So this is the part of the sequencing. When we enter to conduct a class, what are the activities do we do in the class? Various type of activities. First of all, we warm up the students. As soon as we start the class, we should warm up the students. If we want warm up the students, they would be a passive learner. They would not enjoy the class. So first of all, we would have to warm up them. So how can we warm up them? There are various ways through which this can be done. We can ask them about the previous class. We can ask them simple question related to the topics. Actually, a lesson warms up is an activity that helps get the students in a learning frame of mind. Warm-ups or warmers are any activity completed at the beginning of the class are specifically intended to prepare a students for learning. Warm-up should be short at dynamic activities. So there are various activities that we can perform to warming our students up. Warm-ups activities help students shift their frame of mind into the subject they are about to learn. So when there would be the activities that would warm them up, they would be able to focus in the class, and they would be what we can say, boost up themselves before connecting themselves to the lesson. Next one is introduction. So as soon as we warm our students up, we would have to give them the introduction of the topic that we are going to teach. Introductory part of the class is very important, because as it is said that first appearance is the last appearance. So your introduction plays a vital role to accomplish your class in a good manner. If you are a teacher, your introduction of the topic should be well managed. If you fail to give a good introduction, the student would not take the interest and would not show their interest in reading that particular topic. Suppose that if you are teaching a story, if you give them a good introduction of that topic, they would be interested, they would be curious to read that topic. So introduction plays a vital part of the lesson planning. Okay. Now, presentation. As I said earlier, it is the core of the lesson plan. Presentation. Lesson presentation is refers to as effective use of selected resources, effective use of voices, hands, parts of the body, ability to demonstrate as the need arises, and effectiveness of control and management. So presentation includes all these things. Your presentation should be good. Only then the learners will get the benefit of your class. Lesson presentation is one of those stages that a students teachers how to have planned for in order to make his or her lesson a successful one. So presentation should be good. Activities. While conducting your class, you must assign some activities to your students. If you don't include some activities, they would be a passive learner. They would not show any activity in the class. They will not be active in your class. So you must include some activities for the student in the class. If you assign them some activities, they will enjoy your class. Now, evaluation of the activities. You must evaluate the activities that you assign them. Then after the application. So applications means how do you apply your all efforts in your class. So these are the points, or these are the sequencing points, we can say, that makes your class effective. Warm up, introduction, presentation, activities, evaluation of those activities, and application. Now going to the next slide. Timing. If you're not planned well, if you don't have a good lesson plan, you would not be able to manage your time. Effective time management allows teachers to complete more in less time. So we have to take care of the time too. If we are able to manage our time, we would be able to teach our students more in less time. As we all know that we have only 40 to 45 minutes in a class. In those 45 minutes, we have to do all those activities that are in our lesson plan. So we have to frame our lesson plan, keeping the time in our mind. We have to check the homeworks. It means the assessment that we assigned the students. We have to do various activities in the class. So we have to manage the time according to the class. Now, differentiation. Yes. Differentiation, it means we have to plan our lesson plan as per the differentiation of the class. We have to think about we have to think our lesson plan, or we have to plan our lesson as per the differentiation in the class. It means, as I discussed earlier, some of the students are good at their study, some are average, and some are poor. So there is individual difference in the class. So as per the differentiation, our lesson plan should be organized. We have to assign, or we have to give the activities to our students as per their mental or physical ability. We can assign the activities to our students in pair, individual, or group, taking care of the individual differences of the students. So differentiation had its own significance before planning for a lesson plan. Differentiation makes us to think about the strategies that we are going to use in the class. When we plan for a strategy, we must have to think about the adaptability of the students. Some students who are able to adapt the things quickly. Some students are not able to adapt the things that much quickly. So keeping these things in our mind, we have to plan our lesson. So differentiation plays a vital role Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So a good differentiated teaching program means high quality evidence based instruction that meets students needs within their zone of proximal learning development and has clear smart goals. A smart goals means what? S stands for a specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for achievable, R stands for realistic, and time based, T stands for time based. So a smart means a specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time based. Now, assessment. What type of assessment can we include in our lesson planning? So whatever we have taught in the class, to check the learning of the students, we have to plan assessment. In assessment, there can be comprehension questions, short presentation, drills, short quiz, written assignment, group activities. This can be included to assess the learning of the students. There are other various ways through which we can check the assessment of the student, but I have included these assessment ways of assessment. So a student's learning can be checked through these activities or through these ways of assessment. And overall lesson, leave time at the end for feedback. You have to take feedback from the students too. A space to take notes on lesson plan. So assessment is also a vital part of our lesson planning. We have to give our focus on assessment also. So till now, what we have gone through, the components of the lesson plan. So in lesson plan, there should be clarification of objectives, as I discussed earlier, proper testing of people's previous knowledge. It means the students, the previous knowledge of the students, Development of self-confidence in the teacher. If you are not planned enough, there will be the lack of self-confidence. Saving of time and energy. Presentation of subject matter in proper order. Selection of teaching method. If you have a good planning, only then you will be able to select a good teaching method. As we know, there are various methods of teaching, but the selection of teaching method depends on your preparation, on your planning. If you are planned well, you will be able to use a proper teaching method for your class. Selection of proper teaching learning materials. The materials or the aids that you are going to use in the class, that depends on your planning. If you are not planned enough, how can you think about the materials that you would use in your class? Lesson planning accomplishes one more objective, that is, it is helpful in keeping records of teaching work. So whatever we taught in the class, if we have a lesson plan, that will become our record. Giving proper shape to teacher education program. This is the one more objective of the lesson plan. Making the teaching process more interesting and effective. If we want to make a good lesson plan, we must have mastery over the subject also. Lesson plan develops continuity in teaching process. It is helpful in evaluation. It is helpful in correlating different students and different subjects and topics. Helpful in reinforcement. It is helpful in assessment also. Okay. Assignments and homeworks. Helpful in all-round development of the child. Formal basis for the teaching learning process. Proper recapitulation. Helpful in completing the whole syllabus in prescribed time or limit when we have good lesson plan. Materials. Yes, as I discussed earlier, the teaching learning materials or aids that we have to use in the class, that we have to plan also before entering the class. If you would have proper materials, proper props for teaching our students, definitely our students will have more outcome from the class that we would teach. So there should be proper materials in the class. We have to think of this also. Now, features of good lesson plan. What are the features of a good lesson plan? Clear description of objectives. In a good lesson plan, there should be clear description of the objectives that I discussed earlier. Your lesson plan should be written lesson plan. Proper selection of subject matter. Whatever is the subject matter, that should be proper. Participation of students. When you are delivering the class, a student should enjoy your class. They should participate in the class. As I discussed earlier, that we should give some activities to our students. So we need participation of the students. If we are taking the class of our students and they are not enjoying the class, they are not showing their participation, they are not showing any activities, it means they are passive learner. They have become passive. They are not enjoying the class. So participation of the students is also necessary. Selection and final recapitulation. It means the summary, whatever you taught, the summary should be good. Clear description of teaching method. Your teaching method should be clear. The teaching method should work for your class. Suppose you have chose a teaching method that is not suitable for the particular topic. So your class would not be a fruitful class for the students. So your teaching method should be it should be as per the need of the students. Flexibility. There should be flexibility in your lesson plan. You have to give some time to the students also. Individual difference. Yes, as I talked about the differentiation. So differentiation totally depends on the individual difference. When we plan a lesson, we have to work on differentiation. That is individual difference. Clarity. There should be clarity in your lesson plan. Activities. There should be activities. Correlation of teaching learning materials. Framing appropriate questions. We have to frame appropriate questions. Homework. We have to assign homework, whatever we teach in the class, but our homework should be on that topic that we have taught in the class, based on principles of psychology. We have to take care of principle of psychology also. So these are the features of a good lesson plan. From today's session, it is clear to everyone that lesson plan has a significant role in the life of a teacher. A teacher cannot be an ideal teacher if he is not prepared well. If we have not a good lesson plan before entering the class, definitely we are going to kill the time of our students. So I request you all educators to have a good lesson plan, to work on a good lesson plan before entering the class. And I hope you all are doing, and you all would do in future also. So now it's over for today's session. I would like to thank everyone to join today's session. I hope you all enjoyed today's session. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being with me.